Sound the alarms. It's an emergency podcast. Welcome to the Denver Bronco Roundup podcast. Tonight, we're going to be talking about this wild negotiating period that just opened up, and the Denver Broncos are getting involved with names like Dre Greenlaw and more next on the Denver Bronco Roundup podcast. Come on, let's join. Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Denver Bronco Roundup podcast. Man, it's an emergency podcast because it's been a wild open to the negotiating period. My name is Keith Brugman. I'm not alone. I have a couple of the best in the business. You know him as the Horseman. I'll start off to the guy on my side, Mr. Trevor, Rocket Man Salzman. How's it going tonight, Trevor?
Doing well, Keith. Exciting day. This is I think was our Christmas we said on Friday night. It's an exciting time I think for Broncos fans, and I think the Broncos got better today, and also a couple of players left, but I think all in all, in general, day one of free agency, I think they got better, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, you got to look on that defensive side because there was certainly some additions. A recent addition to the Denver Bronco Roundup, to the Horseman himself, Mr. Kenny Kirkpatrick. He was our free agent signing as of lately, and thank goodness the negotiating period came true. We got him onto the roster. How you doing tonight, Kenny?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here. I'm like the Travis Hunter of the podcast. I'm on the Giants and K&K coming off of that show, and I'm with the Broncos. So I'm two-way player. So I'm ready. I'm here. We made a couple small moves. The Giants bringing back Slayton, but this is about the Broncos tonight. And I am excited because I am a defensive guy, coached defense in high school and played defense. And that's where the Broncos went today in free agency. And I absolutely love it. 100%. Let's get it going, guys.
Let's get it going. I absolutely love it too. I love the posse. The posse, like Ernie Mays coming in here and saying, "Go Broncos country only." Bo Nix for 6. Also saying hello to Keith and Trevor and Jody and friends and Kenny Kirkpatrick and Michael Ronquillo reminding us, hey, I said before that linebacker Dre Greenlaw was going to be a key NFL free agency signing, and it came true. He's also saying, good evening, Keith, Trevor, and Kenny, and go both Broncos, giving us those orange and blue stars, the mile-high salute, and 100 stars along with that comment. Appreciate it so very much.
Everybody's friend, Michael Ronquillo.
Yeah.
Supports all of us. He came on with the blue and white hearts earlier on our Giants show. We love you, Michael. Appreciate you. And everybody out there. We appreciate you all.
We're going to get to all the big signings right off the bat. But before we hit that, man, we wanted to get to some key re-signings because that's the true to life. 100% cemented in stone. These are all negotiating periods with we've seen contracts happen and then contracts go away and other teams take away players. So kind of still all up in the air, but these ones are locked in stone. Trevor, I know that you wanted to hit these. Why don't you kick it off, buddy?
Yeah, so first and foremost, for all these free agent signings, today the Broncos did end up bringing back a few players. Jarrett Stidham to a 2-year, $12 million deal, $7 million guaranteed. DJ Jones late last night, 3-year deal, $39 million, $26 million guaranteed. And tackle Matt Pert, 2-year deal, $7 million, with $10 million in total incentives.
Yeah, just taking care of your own, man. If you go out there and you look at what defensive tackles have been getting paid, and then you see DJ Jones on a 3-year, $39 million, $26 million guaranteed, that ain't bad. That ain't bad at all, and Jarrett Stidham on a contract that pays up to $12 million is like, nothing, nothing, for a quarterback contract. So you start looking at these contracts, what they did in order to take care of themselves. You got to be okay with making sure you didn't create holes, right, Kenny?
Absolutely. And the Broncos did that with re-signing Jones. You don't want to create a hole. You just, let's be honest, you're not in the best. Yeah, you got a lot. It seems like a lot because you had no money last year, but we're not in the best of salary cap position here still. And re-signing a player like Jones was big in my opinion, and other guys as well. So we're gonna get into it, but a nice warm up to Wednesday, in my opinion, when it's official. I don't want to use that word today because it's called tampering for a reason.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Victor's coming in here. We can hit this a little bit too. He says, both my tight end and my running back free agent signing hopefuls were taken. You saw the tight end market, man. It got gobbled up. Same with the linebacker market, man. It got gobbled up pretty quick. I'm not sure who his running back free agent signing may have wanted. As Michael's reporting now that the Los Angeles Chargers are looking like they're going to be signing Najee Harris, are certainly in the mix, at least right now. So that's an interesting piece as well. Thoughts on how quickly this opening period just started right out of the gate, because it wasn't just the Denver Broncos who decided to make some moves, Trevor. It was a few teams that really shook it up today.
Yeah, I mean, just the amount of teams that re-signed their own players, Keith, was really amazing to me. I mean, we thought salary cap going up, okay, well, teams are going to have money to spend. Oh, yeah, they're going to have money to spend on their own guys. So that really limits the market. So I still don't think it was a great market, first and foremost, when it opened up officially today, the tampering period. But I think teams just, with the salary cap going up, they were able to have more flexibility to sign their own guys back. And so that for me is a big takeaway. And that was what I noticed even yesterday, with just a lot of signings, even over the weekend as well. A lot of players returning to their teams that you expected to at least test the market anyways, that didn't. So it really made the free agent class, quality wise, kind of thin a little bit in other areas. And the Broncos are just lucky they got away day one of the tampering period in the NFL, getting a linebacker and getting a safety, two that have injury issues, but two that have high potential.
Yeah, we'll break all into that in just 2 seconds. I promise, man. I want to say hello to D-Rock's coming in, saying, fellas, what a day, giving us that mile-high salute. Good to see you. And while we're talking about Victor bringing up the tight end and the running back, maybe those guys aren't there. Tight end, running back, maybe fullback. Bring in Kyle Juszczyk. I know that you were talking about this a ton, Kenny, right before we got on. You love this idea.
I do. And when you look at Sean Payton, this guy fits Sean Payton to a T. I mean, what a huge upgrade he would be at a position that a lot of teams don't use. And what I mean by that is a passing threat, another threat. Now you're going to have a linebacker, not only spy on Bo Nix, but a linebacker that have to worry about Juszczyk in coverage. So by all means, go get this guy. It's not going to break the bank. We all this talk about Taysom Hill, out the door now. Bring in this guy instead of Taysom Hill.
Yeah. I was never really sold on the whole idea of Taysom Hill. Hopefully he doesn't come in here and end up blowing it up, because then this will live in infamy. But that being said, Kyle Juszczyk, I love the idea of him being a Denver Bronco. I love what he could possibly bring as well. It'd be kind of funny. We would be going from the Saints to the 49ers as far as taking all our talent. Great way to kind of jump it back over, Trevor, because there was a couple of big signings. I'll let you kick it off however you want to. Obviously, there was one big key one I think everyone's waiting to talk about, though.
Yeah, so two big free agent signings today. Mr. Dre Greenlaw, 3 years, $35 million. It's about a little over $11.5 million a year. And Talanoa Talona Hufanga. I hope I'm saying that right. 3 years, $45 million and $20 million guaranteed. Two obviously once for 49ers. Both have injury issues, but both honestly, Keith, both have a lot of potential to just when they're healthy on the field to be very good. And I think that the Broncos today, the safety market kind of seemed to dry up a little bit today. But I think that Hufanga, that was their guy. And I was glad to see the Broncos just be aggressive and be able to get Greenlaw as well. Because if you came out of day one of free agency not able to get your linebacker that you need inside, to a guy that can cover and kind of do a little bit of everything, you're going to be in trouble because of how the linebacker market just really started drying up when the guys started re-signing with teams and also signing elsewhere.
Absolutely, man. We got to rewind to Dre Greenlaw because I felt like that was just all mixed kind of in there because I think this was huge. This, I mean, again, I can't get back to the fact that we're going to have Alex Singleton who might not be ready for training camp. We have Drew Sanders, who's once again having to be flipped into a different position, and Lavelle Bailey. That was our options heading into the NFL draft. And on top of it, man, this opening period of negotiating, tampering, whatever you want to call it, opened up and everything went against the Denver Broncos. I don't care if you're talking about Zach Bond or Fred Warner or you name it. It just everything dried up. There was nothing out there, but there was one. And if I was to use two words for Mr. Dre Greenlaw, aggressive and instinctual. This guy, if he's healthy, he's super aggressive and super instinctual. And when I say instinctual, he knows where that ball's about ready to go to. He's already got a step and a half in the right direction. He's able to chase down plays, whether it be running backs, tight ends, quarterbacks scrambling, screen passes. He is fantastic. Now, he was injured, and he didn't play but a couple of games last year after a horrific injury when he tried to take the field in the Super Bowl. But if he can return to what he put on the field, and by the way, this year he was still named the 76th best player in the NFL. This is a guy that only played 2 games last year. I'm very excited about what Dre Greenlaw does to solidify the position of the inside linebacker. Talanoa Hufanga is I believe the correct pronunciation. Kenny, I will let you go off on either one of those because I think, again, safety was a huge position of need as well as that inside linebacker.
Well, they both come from the 49ers, like Trevor alluded. And what gets me is, remember, okay, yeah, they were injured. Both of these guys were injured last year, but 2 years ago, that was a top defense in the NFL. And it was under Robert Saleh. So not Robert Saleh, but Robert Saleh did coach these guys up a little bit when he was there. And Hufanga, I've seen, and I think Hufanga is an all-pro. I think he can step up and be a huge upgrade as well. But Greenlaw was the home run. It had to be done. If you had to pay extra for him, they went faster than dominoes crumbling. Crumbling down the linebackers after Bourne signed. We saw them all signing one by one. But with these two signings actually make me excited about, and Broncos country should be excited about, guys and posse, is now you don't have to worry about Jahad Campbell at 20. If somebody going to take him before 20 because we need a linebacker. You don't have to worry about defensive tackle. You brought in DJ Jones. Now it's Tyler Warren, Colston Loveland, or Ashton Jeanty in the first round, Broncos country. And that's it. One of those 3 guys is coming to the Broncos in the first round, and I'm excited. And I'm calling that right now on March 10th, over a month away from the draft. One of those 3 guys will be in blue and orange next year.
I talked about Kenny being our free agent signing. He starts rubber stamping ideas like that. We might have to say, that contract didn't work. I'm just kidding, Kenny. No. Going out there on a limb saying that, hey, we're going out there. We're getting the tight end. We're getting the running back. That's the only guy that guys that are on the table at number 20 now with what we did. That's fairly aggressive. Fairly aggressive, like Dan, that he comes in here with his comments, his thoughts, his ideas. We appreciate that always. Saying good evening, gentlemen. Getting the safety from San Francisco and the linebacker was amazing. He's also really excited about bringing in, again, Kyle Juszczyk. And he's also saying we do need a running back. We could talk a little bit about that because we saw some exits for the Denver Broncos, including Javonte Williams wasn't brought back, but Javonte Williams was picked up. Javonte Williams is now a Dallas Cowboy on a fairly meager 1 year, I believe, $3 million contract, $3.5 million. I might be right in that area as well. So that's just one of them. But Trevor, he wasn't the only former Denver Bronco to find a new home.
Yeah, now former Broncos, and this speaking of former Denver Broncos, Zach Wilson signs a 1 year, $6 million fully guaranteed deal. Could be up to $10 million with Miami Dolphins. Javonte Williams signs a 1 year, $3 million deal with Dallas Cowboys, like you just said, Keith. And Cody Barton signs a 3-year deal, $21 million deal with the Tennessee Titans. Tremont Smith, for me, guys, this is probably the biggest loss. Tremont Smith, 2-year deal with the Houston Texans, $7.5 million, $4.5 million guaranteed. I think he's one of the highest paid gunners in the NFL now. I mean, for me, that's the biggest loss, in my opinion, of all of those players. And that's no disrespect to those other guys. I think that those other guys are going to be losses too. But losing Tremont Smith on special teams is huge.
You were just talking about it, Kenny. Cody Barton on a 3-year, $21 million deal to the Tennessee Titans. Broncos country thought he was a decent stopgap type of linebacker. Wasn't anything that overtook the field, but that just kind of talks about how I loved how you said all the dominoes started to fall. With Zach Bond, Cody Barton, 3-year, $21 million contract for the Tennessee Titans. Just another piece that you just would never expected.
Small market, reminds me of the Josie Jewell signing with the Panthers. You wish him the best. He didn't go to a rival. He goes to a smaller market. Maybe can make a name for himself out there in Tennessee. And I know from and I'm sure the posse and you guys agree. We wish him the best of luck. No hard feelings on Cody Barton going to the Titans. If I don't mind, Keith, I'd like to answer Dan's question from last Tuesday. If we did our combine show, and Dan had a question that in case he's not there tomorrow, his question was on Maxwell Hairston, where he would get drafted. I did my prediction, my thoughts. I did some research, Dan, on him and watched some more tape. I think his ceiling could be Commanders in the first round. That's how high I think he can go. Realistic, if I had to predict, I'm going to say towards the early middle part of the second round is where he gets picked, but could be as early as the first round. So most likely out of play for the Broncos, in my opinion. But I just wanted to answer your question, Dan. I told you I was going to watch some tape. Go watch 2023 highlights on him if you want to check him out. It's like a 5-minute video. It's the short one to watch. His 2023 sophomore highlights with the University of Kentucky are something to watch. And a name to watch in the draft.
And a name to watch in the draft, man. One of those dark horses that you might want to be watching out for. You never know. Patrick Wiltsey coming in here, dropping 200 stars. Thank you so much, Patrick. And he's just coming in saying, "Aloha, boys. Aloha. Stay caffeinated, my friends, and bring on 2025, man." 2025 is shaping up. One of the things I would like to just talk about. We heard Sean Payton, George Payton both talk about it. How do you feel about this being a quote unquote measured approach? Trevor, I'll start with you. Does this feel like a measured approach in what we've done so far? We're just in tampering, free agency, it's still trades or it's still a possibility. And of course, we've got the NFL draft.
Yeah, I think that they've measured to a degree. I don't think that you can't pay everybody, and that's the thing here with the Broncos. They had obvious needs on defense side of the ball. That's just what it was. I think that they were going to be kind of not overspend on players, but I think they also knew that they need to address some issues, and that's why I think defensively Keith, we talked about it for multiple weeks now. We thought they were going to go on the defensive side of the ball first in free agency. That's where we thought they were going to go, and I think that's what they did, and that they made the right move doing so. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that they're not going to go spend a ton more money, I don't think. I mean, I don't know exactly the number of cap they have now. All these deals got to get finalized and whatnot, of course, on Wednesday. But I do think that the Broncos will continue to be aggressive because they know they have to, continue to open up that window with Bo Nix under that rookie contract. So I think that they were major to a degree because of the market, but I do think they were able to and be aggressive when they needed to as well. And they needed to. I mean, you had Hufanga and you had Greenlaw. If you can't get a safety or inside linebacker in free agency, those are going to be massive holes going into the draft. And I think the George Paton and Sean Payton's approach to the draft is best player available, offense or defensive side of the ball.
Very good. Maybe not just three guys. Kenny, how do you feel? Do you feel this was a measured, as George Paton, Sean Payton talked about, a measured approach to the tampering / negotiating period that we just saw open for the Denver Broncos and what they have done?
Yeah, I think you just turned your defense on paper to a top 5 defense with these 2 signings. I think Greenlaw was the best linebacker on paper. If he's healthy last year, he's the number 1 linebacker by far over Zach Bourne. So I think you hit a home run there. And Hufanga is definitely top 3 in my opinion. So with chance to be number 1 as well. So on paper, the tampering, it worked. And, now tomorrow we'll see what else happens, unless something happens late tonight. It's only 8 o'clock in the Mountain Time Zone and 6 o'clock West Coast. So why not make a late night signing? There might be another name that comes out tonight. Who knows? But I think tomorrow you might see some offense. I do. So I don't think the Broncos are done. But yeah, I think top 5 on paper.
Nice,
climbing fast.
I thought it was a great approach. I think, like you were talking about, Trevor, or at least alluding to, just filling the holes that you needed to fill. A linebacker was just a position of need that was so big that you had to be measured in the fact that you can't go in holding a 0 going into the draft as far as your known, starting inside linebacker. You can't be sitting there in that position. Safety was another spot that we just knew we needed to see an upgrade. So on this defensive side, and then getting DJ Jones done, I don't want to undersell that, because again, that defensive tackle market started to just go absolutely crazy when you start looking, at some of the contracts that are flying around out there. So I think they did well in getting all their guys kind of inked up and getting these additions on in order to make sure it was measured in that fact. Peter Johnson says, how much salary caps does the team have left after signings of Hufanga and Greenlaw and also the re-signing of DJ Jones? Peter, to be determined, because right now these are all just put out there as far as, numbers and maybe some guaranteed dollars. When we finally see the ink on the paper and we get a little more detail, it can be pushed around in a million different ways. All these guys could basically be a league minimum and a big signing bonus that's pushed out even further down the road, and it could cost nothing. Or they could be paying these guys just standard straight up contracts, and you could be looking at a 3-year, $45 million contract like Hufanga got, and it's $15 million a year. It could go either way. We could be looking at like literally anywhere from $6 million to $15 million just on one guy, just to kind of give you an idea of the swing. So tough to really say. Trevor, it looks like you might have an idea there.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, we don't even know the guarantees on Dre Greenlaw's contract yet, so We'll find that out over the next couple of days. But as these contracts go through and whatnot being processed, they'll be structured different. It's a 3-year deal for some of these guys, but it could be up to a year, and opt out after that or whatnot. They can be structured differently, so just have to kind of see how those contracts end up panning out over the next couple of days, and we'll get a better look and see, and be able to give that information out a little bit better and know a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we host these emergency pods, and thanks for everybody who's joining in. Thanks for everybody in the posse. I see Karen's coming in and just saying good evening, and good evening to you as well. I want to jump over to Dan's thoughts, and go over to Mr. Kenny Kirkpatrick, because I know he's been a guy that's kind of been beating the table here. I'm hearing tight end Evan Ingram to the Broncos. He came in on a visit today, and that's all we heard as of yet. Where there's been signings in other places, Evan Ingram from the Broncos, we haven't quite heard yet, but we did see a visit. Kenny, your thoughts on Evan Ingram?
I like him. I like him a lot. I know some people may not. I like him a lot. Giants drafted him a few years ago. He didn't work out with the Giants. 2 years ago, not last year. Last year was a lost cause with the Jaguars losing Trevor Lawrence for more than half the year, and their rookie wide receiver had a good year with Mac Jones filling in. 2 years ago, 964 yards receiving, only 2 touchdowns, but 1,000 yards from your tight end. Sign me up. It's got to be on the cheaper end. He's got to prove it to me. Give him a signing bonus and give him some incentives, and you can make it happen. You gotta triple in touchdowns. You got to get 1,000 yards. You get an extra $2 million. Something like that. You give them incentives. You play this many games, 12 or more games, you're going to get $100,000 after every game. Incentive friendly contract. Yes, I'm all in for Ingram over what else is left out there. Or I may just go to draft route if it's not Evan Ingram, because I really don't like too much else out there. I might just go double dip on tight end in the draft.
And don't forget, it might be the top guy in free agency last year, or top guy in training camp last year, Lucas Kroll. He was tendered. He was brought back as well. So we do have some options there at the tight end position. Gentlemen, I want to bring one more comment on the screen, make it a 4 horseman show. Mr. Jody Moncrief coming in here saying we are in a win now mode, boys. I think given the dollars that the Denver Broncos have, I wouldn't say that this is not a win now type of start to the offseason, really. This is pretty decent given the money that we have to spend, even with the cap increase. Trevor, your thoughts? Are we in a win now mode?
Yeah, you're in win now mode. I think also, Keith, this approach is, I think, the right approach. But I think what teams should, try to take this approach every year, and it's addressing, and if you can, of course, with the cap, is you address your needs in free agency, so you don't have to address a need in the draft. You want to take best player available. I cannot stress that enough. We talk about one player or the other on the offense side of the ball. If the board don't fall that way, you can't force it. So this by the Broncos addressing needs, it allows them to have more flexibility, so they're not forced to take one position over another based upon need. You want to go best player available on the board, offense or defense side of the ball. That's where the Broncos should go, in my opinion. I think that's where this is set up right now. They may not be done. Of course, they may not be done. So on day one, but still, I think that's what their approach has been. They've been draft and develop up to this point, and I think that that model continues even after signing big names like this, addressing needs, but want to go best available in the draft, whatever that draft board kind of leans towards when they pick at pick 20, or even move up or move down.
Win now, Kenny? Are we winning? Are we winning in a win now mode right now with our Denver Broncos?
You're close. You're close, and I'm not going to hide it. I mean, look at these additions on defense, and a lot of people don't know the name Hufanga. Mm-hmm. This guy is, Patrick alluded earlier, he's Tongan. But if there's anybody out there that reminds me of a poor man's Troy Polamalu, it's Hufanga. And I'll call him TH. I don't want to say his name wrong, and I apologize if I am, so I'll call him TH. So, serious, like Surtain, Greenlaw, Hufanga, Zach Allen, Benito. Look at this defense. Defense wins championships. That's the saying, right? This defense can win a championship. You are in win now mode.
Yeah. One thought I did have, man, is as this market's exploded, we still have some positions we'd like to add. Maybe we'd like to upgrade. The one thing that scares me, and I don't know why we're going down this particular path, other than it's kind of off-season mode. Cortland Sutton is not going to play underneath his contract, and wide receivers aren't getting any cheaper out there on the market. as of right now. For a guy that's putting up 1,000 yards, is putting up, double-digit plus touchdowns, a guy that's a key guy for Bo Nix. That's another key component as we start to talk about, being measured in our approach, is making sure that we're taking care of our owns like a DJ Jones. We're also going to have to take care of a Cortland Sutton if we're going to want him on this team moving forward. And we haven't seen it yet, but I think that's a piece that we need to factor in. I'll just go back around the horn. I'll start back with Kenny, though, and get his thoughts on that.
It is an important piece, but don't be surprised. The second and third rounds, there's some sleeper wide receivers out there. We saw a lot of good times and good performances from the wide receivers at the combine. Don't be surprised, like Trevor alluded to, best available. You might go best available in the second or third round, depending on what goes on in free agency with the Broncos, still running back, tight end. You may fill those needs in free agency. Wide receiver comes along in the second round that's sitting there, even in the first round, could take the place of Mr. Cortland Sutton next year. I'm just saying. So don't sleep on this wide receiver class in the second and third round on finding somebody that could fill that hole.
Like I said, I go all the way back around. Trevor, your thoughts, buddy?
Yeah, I mean, you have to. I think they will, have money to bring back Cortland Sutton. I think he's going to be around that $20 million, $22 million range, a year range. Also, Zach Allen, reports are that he wants a massive contract extension as well, about $25 million a year, possibly right around that range. Nick Bonito, you got to decide probably later down the line if you're going to pay him, but a couple big contracts are going to be on your books. That's why I say I think the Broncos, while they're still maybe active in free agency, I don't think that they're going to go out there and spend a ton more money just because they have those guys waiting in the down the line to give big extensions to, if they so choose to. So yeah, but I think they're keeping Cortland Sutton. I think they want to keep him. I think they'll get a deal done. The thing is right now, and with some of these contract extensions, is their Broncos are working so much right now during free agency, and they'll have the draft to work on. I mean, those contract extensions, Keith, we've seen it in the past. They usually take care of themselves, and usually take care of themselves around training camp, a little before training camp, after the dust kind of settles with free agency and the draft. I think they'll get extensions done with some of these guys down the line. But yeah, I think it's definitely concerning until they're done, though, for sure.
Yeah, and I just meant, this measured approach, what we've seen, and maybe the Denver Broncos could have went out there and did more. Let's face it, some of these teams are completely reforming their team and adding an amazing amount of talent at some times, and, changing who they look like completely. And I wouldn't say the Denver Broncos have necessarily done that. They've just gotten really strong in the position, or stronger in the positions they were lacking the most. And another thing that I just wanted to allude to really quick, Trevor, the other thing that you do in free agency is you look at what you think the draft is going to be able to provide for you. If you don't think this is going to be a great safety draft, and there's only a couple of guys, and if you don't get those couple of guys, you're kind of up the crick, then you better go out and better find a safety, because the likelihood that you go out and find your guy in the draft isn't very high. Go get him there. Same thing with linebacker or defensive tackle, whatever position, that we maybe saw ourselves go after. That might be another thought process that we have in there. One thing that I wanted to bring up, because Michael comes in here, he's dropping more comments and more stars as well. When he came in here and said Evan Ingram spent Sunday night and Monday with the Broncos, he'd left without a contract. If you guys are really into the Denver Broncos, give Michael a friend request. Guy's on top of all the news. I'm telling you, man. I think he's just as good as any Adam Schefter or
just
media
a fan
head
of
out there.
Sports. Follow Michael. He's on top of every sport and every wrestling as well. Michael, everybody's friend, Michael Ronquillo, supports everybody, and we need to support him as well. And I chat with him on the side every here and there, and great guy.
Absolutely, buddy. Appreciate you so very much. Thank you guys for coming in here, dropping the stars, but also, like I said, dropping the knowledge, man. You're fantastic. One thing that I'd like to drop just really quick while we're in here, we do have an amazing sponsor. Morgan Trinkets, they've been doing it for over 34 years. They do Southwest Jewelry, Southwest Pottery, Estate Gold at wholesale prices. You can find them on Etsy, Morgan Trinkets Co. That's Morgan Trinkets Co. They do shows all over Northern Colorado, Southern Wyoming. Any purchase over $50 shipped absolutely free, and all major credit cards are accepted. Please go check out our amazing sponsor, Morgan Trinkets. I don't know how long our show's going to be, man, but I wanted to come in here, have this emergency pod. You guys are absolutely blowing it up. Big E Broncos wondering how we're doing tonight. Doing fantastic. Good to see you, Big E Bronco. Thanks for joining us over on YouTube. And I wanted to say hello to Mr. Kurt Valente. Peyton and Peyton are all in, baby. Absolutely love it. Ingram or Johnson, Cup and upgrade fullback with Kyle Juszczyk. Going for it now, he says. Kurt's in that all-in mode, just like Jody was as well. What are your thoughts? I'll go over to Trevor real quick because we have some options. If you have an option between Ingram or Johnson, and also would you bring in Cooper Kupp? We already kind of touched on Kyle Juszczyk a little bit.
Yeah, that's tough. See, because here's my thing. Even if you bring in Evan Ingram or Juwan Johnson, I don't think that they solve your tight end room long term. I still think this team should be taking the draft within rounds 1 to 3, rounds 1 to 4 early, pretty much what I'm trying to say. Maybe not first round, but maybe second round, day 2. So for me, I mean, we'll kind of see what Ingram's asking for. It all depends on what these guys are asking for. Juwan Johnson wants a big deal. Then I don't think you're going to sign him long term because I don't think he's your tight end of the future. I think if Evan Ingram, you can get him on a 1-year deal and still draft the tight end high. And then in a year, so next offseason, you're hoping that tight end, that rookie tight end you would draft would take over for future seasons. Kind of a bridge guy. That's what Evan Ingram would be for me. So that's what, if I'm the Broncos and I'm looking at tight end, that's probably what I'm looking for is a bridge tight end at this point, because I think this is a strong draft class at tight end. And then, when it comes to Cooper Kupp, I've been on a Cooper Kupp. I don't know if the Broncos are going to be on Cooper Kupp. It depends on, again, what he's asking for. He's going to have suitors out there as well. He's going to have other teams wanting to bring him into the wide receiver room, especially teams that are wanting to contend. Specifically teams that want to contend, obviously, are going to be contending. So Cooper Kupp, I think that he should definitely be on the table. I just don't know if the Broncos are going to make him a priority right now. I still think they're trying to figure out tight end and also running back. Rico Dowdle's still out there, so there's still a couple running backs out there that they could possibly take a look at as well. So, remains to be seen how much the Broncos want to continue to spend.
Michael Ronquillo says Cooper Kupp is the only wide receiver I want here with the Broncos. And guess what? Kenny's in agreement. We see that on the side. Kenny, talk about Cooper Kupp. Talk about the idea of either an Ingram or a Johnson. I know that you're a big Ingram fan. How do you feel about Johnson in comparison?
I'm not a big fan of Johnson, and I just don't see it. Okay, just because he played for the Saints with Sean Payton doesn't mean he's going to be, 1,000-yard tight end and 10 touchdowns. It doesn't mean that. It was a guy that they drafted in New Orleans, and how come we're not hearing, the rumors about Johnson today? It should have been signed if they were really interested in him, and not seeing it. Ingram, I do like more, but it's got to be like Trevor said. With tight end, I want 2. I want Ingram and a rookie in the first or second round, one of the top 3 or 4 tight ends, or I want a double dip with a rookie in the first round, one of the top 2 guys, and a guy in the middle rounds, Terrence Ferguson, Jake Burningstool, Gunnar Helm type as a double dip at tight end. As for Cooper Kupp, I know we talked about it earlier. Got 3 6th-round picks. Give up a 6th-round pick for him. Let the Rams eat some of that money. Bring over Cooper Kupp. Maybe the Rams could find another, Puka Nacua type on defense or whatever in the 6th round like they did. They were good at finding Puka Nacua a couple years ago. You sell that to the Rams and they eat some of the money, and you bring over a proven wide receiver veteran on the Broncos next year. And now you're talking, that window's starting to come even closer. So yes, please, with Cooper Kupp over some of the higher priced free agents that are out there still in Amari Cooper, Diggs, and even DeAndre Hopkins. Those guys are going to cost a lot more money. You can get Cup cheaper. Do it.
I'm going to go all the way against you, man. I'm not big on Cooper Kupp. I think at his best, he's amazing, but this is the way I see it. He's got to be released, and he's got to want to be a Denver Bronco. That's the way he comes to this team. I don't. If I have to overpay, if I have to give up draft picks, if I have to do anything like that, then I'm not in for Cooper Kupp. I'm not going to get in a bidding war for him. If he wants to go and be a Baltimore Raven, let him go be a Baltimore Raven. I'm fine with it. I'm excited about the talent that we have on our team, and I don't want to hamstring any of that. And as much as Cooper Kupp, I think could be a upgrade for maybe next year, I don't know if he's an upgrade beyond that at all. And you've only set your team backwards. As far as Juwan Johnson and who was the other guy Ingram, I kind of feel the same.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't want to overpay for Ingram, and I think that's why a contract's not getting done, because I don't want to go out there and overpay for him and then bring in that guy at number 20 and trying to figure out that whole dilemma. Or does that take you off the board at 20 when you have one of the best tight end classes out there and you think you're going to have somebody there? Again, I think you're investing. And same thing, I'll agree with you on Juwan Johnson. It's great that he played for the Saints. I like the tie-in with and the success that we've even had bringing in former Saints to this team. But Juwan Johnson is for all intents and purposes, I don't think anybody that's going to in 2 years going to be on the headlines or the face of Madden or whatever. I guess most of the magazines are kind of off the shelves these days, but you know what I'm talking about. Broncos Zilla coming in said, I'm excited for today getting the safety from the 49ers, that Duke Ball. I loved what the comparison that Kenny gave, kind of a poor man's or a different version of what you would think of Troy Polamalu is a great way to see it.
I just wanted to ask you, Keith, when you're finished with the comments, if I got
right
a
ahead,
chance for like a 30 to 45 second rebuttal debate about
go roll with it right now.
Kurt and for Michael Ronquillo out there who like Cooper Kupp. My question to you and Trevor is 6th round pick. What are you going to get in this year's draft? What are you expecting from this year's draft for the 6th round pick?
Wait,
you're not expecting a starter.
Sixth round pick, and how much money do I have to play Cooper Kupp as well, though? Because his contract is big, and I don't know how much the Rams are going to want to go ahead and send back to the Denver Broncos in comparison to just cutting the guy. So how much am I going to have to pay for Cooper Kupp? Because a 6th round pick,
about half his salary.
I don't know what it is. I'll look up Cooper Kupp. You keep going, buddy. You keep going and try to.
Okay. Devon Vele, nice story. Troy Franklin, nice story. We just talked about it earlier in the show. All these defensive moves got you in championship mode now. Defense wins championships. You can bring in a Cooper Kupp type of receiver, a veteran to this group. Vele, you get in a few plays. Franklin, you get in a few plays. Little Jordan Humphrey, thank you for your time here. I don't need that now. Bo Nix put you guys ahead of schedule. And you are way ahead of schedule. So why develop when last year you were supposed to develop and you made it to the playoffs? Now you can get even further by bringing in a couple key free agents. I'm doing that. I'm sorry. By all means, I'm doing that. And Cooper Kupp, I think he's one of the best out there when he comes to like a Wes Welker, Julian Edelman type. I think it's a no-brainer for me. Evan Ingram, I'll say, yes, I don't want to overpay for Evan Ingram. I want to get him on the cheaper end. But Cooper Kupp, I'm paying a decent amount for him. I am.
All right. Well, his cap hit or his salary in 2025 is $29.7 million and $27.3 in 2026. Even if they're picking up half, you're paying $15 million and $14 million per year for those 2 years, plus you're giving away a 6th round pick.
I do know the Broncos have a lot of cap space next year, a lot, and even a lot more in 2027 coming. So, yeah, I'm still doing it because
But they're going to have
you're in the Super Bowl window now.
They're going to have to pay Zach Allen and Cortland Sutton $20 million each at least, and then you're going to have to pay Nick Benito. We just seen the edge rusher market go up with Myles Garrett and Max Crosby getting paid, so that's only going to bump up that edge rusher price.
I know we're in difference of opinions. I know there's two sides to it, and that it's a respectful disagreement. To me, if I can go win that Super Bowl this year and compete with the Bengals and the Bills and the Ravens and the Chiefs, I'm doing it. And Kyle Juszczyk, Evan Ingram, Cooper Kupp. If you can bring those 3 guys in and afford all 3 of them on the offensive side, do it. Do it.
I will say this. Go ahead, Keith.
Go ahead, Trev.
No, so what I was going to say is I do think – I don't argue that they need playmakers. They need playmakers. They first and foremost, they got to address running back at some point in time. I mean, you can't just roll with Jaleel McLaughlin and estimate next year. You have to be able to find an upgrade. I think you sign a vet in free agency at some point. Maybe it's a cheaper deal, and then you go into the draft and get one as well. I don't know that I can just rely upon a rookie running back, but that's where, in my opinion, playmaker-wise, when we talk playmakers, running back tied in, I think they like their wide receiver room more than people think. Troy Franklin, they traded up into the 4th round last year. I don't think they just did that, just go sign a veteran a year later and then not play him. He's got to be able to play. That's how he's going to develop. I know that Bo Nix played really well last year, and this team is in a win now window, but you can't really, kind of stipple down. You're the guys that you have to develop, because you have to develop Vela. You still have to develop Troy Franklin. You have to develop guys around Bo Nix. It's about developing Bo Nix, but also developing the talent around him as well. And I think Troy Franklin is a big part of that. I do think that they expect Troy Franklin to take a step up next year.
Yeah, I guess my last piece on this is I think that Joshua Palmer just got a contract with the Bills. And I feel a contract like Joshua Palmer is about what Cooper Kupp is worth. If Cooper Kupp came to me and he was on a 3-year, $33 million contract, $15 million guaranteed, really making it a 2-year, $7.5 million contract, per year, I'm fine with it. But I'm not going to go out there and I'm not going to pick up $15, $20 million hoping that Cooper Kupp can stay, healthy over the next couple of years. That's the only thing that I don't want to, just as we're starting to get a little bit forward, I don't want to take a step back. And
I get that, but I'm how much of a step back is it when he's 31 years old? He played 12 games last year, 12 games the year before. Everybody has injuries, and you still has 100 targets in 12 games. 12 games, he's had 100 targets. And only 3 years ago, he had 1,947 yards and 16 touchdowns. Is he that old? I don't think so. I know some people, like I said, don't like him, but to me, I'm taking a chance with him. If we're taking a chance on other guys that are hurt in Greenlaw and Hufanga, give me Kupp if you're going to get me 100 targets.
Tick, 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 tick. Time will tell for not maybe even the Denver Broncos, but whoever ends up with Cooper Kupp. We'll find out exactly what Cooper Kupp had left in the tank. Maybe we look back. Maybe I look back. Maybe Trevor we both look back and we say, Kenny, dang it, you're right.
Oh, and I'm the same way, guys. If it happens and he's bad, I do the same thing. Guys, you were right. I was wrong.
There you go. Peter Johnson coming in over on Facebook. We've had a lot of different faces, a lot of different names, and a ton of different comments that I have not been able to keep up with. Appreciate you joining us on this emergency pod. It's been a fantastic one. He says, we seem to be forgetting how much Mims developed. Don't count out Mims and the type of X factor he could be in this receiver room. I think that almost helps solidify even the point that Trevor was making a little bit earlier, because I think they tie hand in hand. We've seen this development kind of come around, whether it be a Marvin Mims that took a year, whether it be Troy Franklin that we're kind of expecting to take that next step up, whether we talk about a Riley Moss that we didn't think was going to be anybody heading into the beginning of last year and ended up being the most important somebody maybe as far as cornerback was considered outside of obviously PS2, who's holding down the fort on the other side. So it seems like there's definitely this, as Sean Payton has pointed out, a plan with every player about how we're going to get to them to the field and when they're going to get to the field. And we definitely could start to we need to keep that in consideration when we're saying I don't think we have somebody here. Maybe we need to look back, take a look at some of these draft pieces that we've even just recently brought on. And is that the person that's going to elevate to that position? Now, that being said, we still got some holes. I know that our good friend Jody Moncrief, he's excited about Audric Estime, and maybe that's another guy that we see kind of elevate that we're not really giving the respect to right now when we're talking about that running back room. The one thing that I would say, just in regards to that, I had said it before, and I think it was one of my trades or free agent signings, J.K. Dobbins. That would be I think a fantastic little addition to maybe give you a little solid piece, might not cost you a whole lot of money. And if Najee Harris is looking to go to the Chargers, then J.K. Dobbins is looking like a dispensable piece. That's just my 2 cents.
I like that,
gentlemen. I didn't know if we could go an entire hour. We're pretty dang close, man. But I want to get some final thoughts from everybody, man, and truly some final thoughts, because it was, like I said, a wild day. I think we could be on here for 2 hours tonight if we wanted to talk about all the wild, crazy things that happened. Joshua Palmer is no longer a Charger. Robert Spillane no longer a Las Vegas Raider. I wanted to talk about maybe a couple departures that maybe left the AFC West as well. That's just a couple of my kind of thoughts and final thoughts. But I'm going to pass it all the way around the horn. Kenny, why don't I start with you? Final thoughts before we get out of here.
Final thoughts. I think the Broncos won on the defensive side of the ball today for sure. Chargers made a couple moves. They brought back Khalil Mack, with Michael alluded earlier, Najee Harris. So a couple decent moves from them. Chiefs didn't do much, and that's always a good thing. And the Raiders, they need a wide receiver, because let's hope Janty doesn't go there at 6, but they still need some help on their side of the ball to give them more offensive power with Brock Bowers, which they didn't do anything today neither. So AFC West, I think the Broncos won. We're having fun, guys. It's fun to debate. It's what makes podcasts great. No pun there intended on the rhyme, but it's what makes podcasts great is when we have difference of opinions and we can debate proper way, and that's what we all do. And we're going to see. Cooper Kupp is going to bring some heat, especially if it starts rumbling that the Broncos are interested in him. And some of us like him, some of us don't. But no, great podcast, guys. Posse, thank you so much, everybody. Too many names to mention, but I'll do a couple for you, Keith, and then you can do the rest. I see Ernie, Michael, Captain, Victor, Karen, of course, Jody, and Roy, and many others. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we'll see everybody tomorrow night. Patrick, aloha. Thank you. Lion Coffee as well. And I'll let Keith try and get the rest of the posse out there, because there's a lot of you guys. I'm putting him on the spot, everybody. Since he didn't like Cooper Kupp, he's getting put on the spot.
Oh, boy. Trevor, man, some final thoughts. Get me off the hook a little.
No, I mean, I think it was a great day for the Broncos, I think, all in general. Again, we got to see these guys play, of course, but I really like the Hufanga move. I think somebody else said it in the comments. I mean, the Greenlaw move, yes, I think is a solid move, but Hufanga, I think if he's healthy, that's an all-pro safety that you have next to Brandon Jones. Oh, by the way, you know who the Broncos' biggest free agent signing last year was? Brandon Jones, safety. The biggest free agent signing this year, Hufanga, safety. They've invested into the safety market once again, the safety position once again. And so I think the Broncos got better today, and we'll see what they do tomorrow. Should be an exciting day. A lot of exciting news going out there. It's interesting seeing teams' different visions around the NFL and how they want to orchestrate their teams. So I think let the fun continue tomorrow, and we'll be here to cover it for everybody. But I hope everybody has a great night. Hope everybody enjoyed these emergency podcasts. We did warn everybody. We did warn the posse that these are going to happen eventually. We did it last year. We did it this year. Hope everybody enjoyed it. Hope everybody has a great night. We'll see everybody tomorrow night.
Go Broncos. Trevor, real quick, Hufanga is going to be the next Head and Shoulders guy. Next, Troy Polamalu.
Yeah.
Poor man's Troy Polamalu. We're going to get the poor man's Head and Shoulders commercial going. Let's go. Let's go.
All right, man. All right. We'll all bring out our favorite shower installments. I don't know.
Only on Denver Bronco Roundup.
Only here. Only with Kenny. Gentlemen, it's been fantastic, man. It is amazing. Just Posse blew it up tonight, man. Lots of viewers. Love to see all the likes that you guys give. Please give a thumbs up if you get a chance over there on Facebook. Had a lot of viewers. Thumbs up as you're getting out of here. Over there on YouTube, make sure you're liking and sharing, subscribing. Like we talked about, Emergency Pods is maybe one of just a few. And, man, we go live otherwise every Tuesday, every Friday, 7:30 p.m. So, yeah, we're going to be catching you tomorrow night. Ernie Mays and Captain and Roy and Karen and Victor, and I saw
And
Paul
Dan
was in
and
here,
Kurt.
Biggie Bronco, Jody, and
D-Rock.
Tom was in here. I mean, Patrick Wiltsey and Dan, and I mean, just
I got
you guys
Broncos for life.
Broncos for
Broncozilla.
life. Broncozilla,
Yeah.
Biggie Bronco, Paul
Peter
Schaefer.
Johnson, one of our friends on Let's Talk Broncos. Thank you, Peter, for hanging out tonight.
Just amazing what all of you, and all the names that we didn't mention, didn't get to, forgot to say. Thank you for all the star givers, and it really does help us out. We want to do bigger and better things in the future. Every time that you guys drop a little bit of a donation, sure does help that come true for you. Again, appreciate everybody. Stay tuned. You never know when those emergency pods are going to be happening. But, man, we got to get out of here, and we get out of here one way only. Make sure, keep those boots in the stirrups, guns in the holsters, and the Denver Broncos in your heart. Until tomorrow night, have a great one, everybody. Take care.